Let's, for the sake of argument, make an exercise of faith and understanding. First, let's see what God's attributes are. Number one, God is omnipotent. There's nothing God cannot do. He is almighty, all-powerful. Number two, God is omniscient, which means He knows everything to the infinite. Number three, God is omnipresent. There's not a single place in the whole universe where God is not present. Number four, God is eternal. He existed in eternity past, and He will exist in eternity future. Now let's take a look at mankind history from Adam and Eve all the way to the last one sentenced before the great white throne. From God's point of view, all history, past, present, and future, is already a past history. Throughout mankind history, God has used certain individuals to prophesy about events that from the prophet's point of view were future events. Every single one of those prophecies were fulfilled to the letter. How could a prophet prophesy so accurately unless God made sure those prophecies will be fulfilled? And how could a prophecy be fulfilled if God did not have absolute and total control over all things and events that may have endangered the fulfillment of the prophecy? You may have heard about the astronomical mathematical probabilities that even one of the prophecies could be fulfilled, not to mention hundreds of them. Can you understand that even a minor accident in the timeline of history may have rendered a prophecy false and unfulfilled? And yet, God has been in absolute control of even the most minuscule events in order to make that prophecy possible. That tells me about a master plan, a plan that was laid and perfectly carried out by the only one who has the power to do so. It brings us to a basic statement. God is either in absolute control of everything, or He is not in control of anything. Do you think one person's life is outside of God's absolute control? If it were so, that God is not omnipotent, He is not omniscient, and He is not omnipresent. God doesn't only know what is happening or what is about to happen, but He is in absolute control. Things, down to the most elemental aspect, are in absolute control of God. And nothing can possibly happen outside of His control. Even before I finish this video, God knows exactly what is said in it. And He controls my thoughts. He controls the camera. He controls all my actions, even my ideas, my mouth, even before they are manifested. Does God know what I will do at 10 p.m. today? Absolutely. Could my actions several hours from now affect other person or things? Absolutely. Can any of my future actions escape God's control or be outside of His control? Absolutely not. See? Please remember that all my actions, past, present, and future, are already recorded in quotation marks, and from God's perspective, they are all past history. Can anything that is already past history ever change? Impossible. If God is in absolute control, nothing can change in what is already past history. God does not improvise as time and events happen. God is in control of all events, and they can only happen in the manner in which they already did happen from His perspective. All things happen according to His will and His plan, a plan laid out even before the creation. As an example, from God's perspective, the book of life, where the names of those who are saved is already written, because He exists both within and outside of our timeline. From our perspective, subject to a linear timeline, names are being added to the book of life in a continuous manner. Not so from God's perspective. Again, from God's perspective, not a single name will be added to a book that is already complete, and not one name will be missing from it. And those names were in the book of life even before creation. Not one more, not one less. Those whose names are written in the book of life will inherit the kingdom of God for all eternity. Those whose names are not written in the book of life will be cast in the lake of fire for all eternity. This is just an example of how, from God's perspective, all mankind history is a past event, and nothing can change from that which is already consummated. It's past history. There is no power beyond God's power. There is no will above God's will. And His will is done because He is God.